Hello there duelists, another week, another profile, and it's Heraldic Beasts on the playmat today. So Heraldic Beasts are a rank 4 Toolbox deck that focused on the oft forgotten psychic typing. So these guys were used by Ventress, the man trapped in a boy's body antagonist of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal anime. So let's dive straight into the profile before I notice too many similarities between myself and a man-child playing a children's card game. Okay, so into the monsters. We've got 3 Amphisbaena. So this is one of the ones that got released a little bit later than kind of like the standard core set, which I think was in World Superstars or something like that. It was a weird side set that Konami did, but basically he could discard a Heraldic Beast monster to special summon himself, and it gains 800 attack if it discards another Heraldic Beast monster, which never really comes up. He's decent because he can just get himself onto the board, and a lot of our Heraldic Beasts can generate some advantage, so the kind of neg 1 of getting them onto the field isn't too bad. So then we're running 2 Heraldic Beast Leo. So if you normal summon Heraldic Beast Leo, it gets destroyed during the end phase, which isn't super great, but whenever it's sent to the graveyard, and that includes if it's detached from material, you get to add a Heraldic Beast monster from your deck to your hand. It would be great if it was card, it would be even better, but Heraldic Beast Leo is kind of the mainstay. I think the reason I've cut him to 2 is because a lot of the Heraldic Beast just have trouble getting out of your hand. If you see too many of them, you can be in bother. Speaking of another 2 of, so we're running 2 Aberconway. So what this guy can do is he can banish another copy of Aberconway to add a Heraldic Beast monster to your hand. So again, it's kind of that resource loop and generation that you can get. And then finally, we've got 1 Heraldic Beast Unicorn. So you can banish it from your graveyard, target a Psychic type XYZ monster, and special summon it back. Its effects negated. So again, really, you don't really want to see any of these in your opening hand if you can avoid it. Leo's not too bad if you can compare it. Well, if you compare it off with, you know, Amphisbaena or something useful. So to give these guys a bit of support, we're running the Time Thief engine, so we're running 3 Time Thief Winder, so special summon it by detaching from an XYZ. You get to add a Time Thief card from your deck to your hand when it's normal or special summoned. So it's just a really solid card. And then we're running 3 Time Thief Regulator. So Regulator is kind of like a rescue rabbit, I suppose, or well, you suppose if you cat. So if you control no other monsters, which can be a little bit of a downside, you tribute it to special summon 2 Time Thief monsters with different names from your deck, which can be a little bit sad if you've drawn, because we're only playing, while we're going to playing the 1 Bezel ship. So, but he's also, when an XYZ monster is destroyed by battle whilst in the graveyard, you can special summon it back. So he's got some utility once he's got past it. The Bezel ship, you really don't want to draw, because then Regulator turns himself off because we're only running the 1 Bezel ship. But Bezel ship is basically a similar thing to what the Winder does, apart from it can special summon itself back from the graveyard instead from the hand. He also has another effect where he can, attach one of your opponent's cards to a monster as a material, which doesn't come up very often, if I'm being honest. And then we're running some generic support, so we're running 2 Kagetokage, which I think could be anything that kind of gets itself on board. Kagetokage I found as the easiest one, although the fact that it can't be normal summoned or set is a little bit annoying if you get stuck in hand. And then finally, we're running 3 Effect Veiler. Just as this deck is quite budget, I've gone for a budget hand trap that you can splash in as much or as little as you want for it. Right, and then onto the spells. So weirdly, the Heraldic Beast spells are really solid. Like, this is one of the new ones that came out in I think it was a core set fairly recently, but you can tribute a monster and special summon 2 Heraldic Beast monsters from your deck in defense position. So it's just super good at getting materials on board. The downside is you can't special summon for the extra deck apart from psychic or machine type monsters, which kind of that lock-in isn't ideal. But now we've got the Time Thief cards, we can actually put some presence on board. So it's a super solid card. And then the other one we're doing is Advanced Heraldry Art. So this is really good as well. So target 2 Heraldic Beast monsters in your graveyard, especially on the back, and then immediately XYZ. This one isn't even once per turn, so it's just super, super good. But again, you kind of need to play the Heraldic Beast in order to get these power spells to be functional. So I suppose that's the trade-off. From there, running 3 Called by the Grave. We're not. I mean, again, I think we're an older deck, so we're not ploughing through multiple negates, and this can protect some of your plays. An Ash Blossom on your Regulator can spell doom for the rest of the turn. From there, running a bit of draw power, so running 3 of Allure of Darkness, which I think, I don't know, I've toyed with this in and out and stuff like that, but you just kind of need to motor through some cards. I think we're running, the kind of 7 Time Thief cards and then the Kagetokage, which, is my kind of standard target for Allure of Darkness if I can manage it. From there, some more draw power, we're running the Upstart Goblin, and then we're running some 1-ofs in Monster Reborn, Instant Fusion to get another body on board that does eat your extra deck space, which I don't like, and then 1 Foolish Burial, which basically acts as a rotor because of Leo, or can dump the Bezel ship, should you need it. And then finally, for the one remaining spell card, we're running Time Thief Startup, so you can special summon a Time Thief monster from your hand, and then its other effect is you can banish a monster spell and trap Time Thief card to attach them all to a Time Thief XYZ monster, but that never comes up because we're only running with 1 startup and you need 2 startups in order to make that work, because we're running, you need a monster spell and trap besides this card. And back to tiny trap sections. So running 2 Time Thief Retrograde, so it can negate a spell or trap card while you control a Time Thief XYZ monster, and then you can attach that card to a Time Thief XYZ monster. So this guy is kind of searchable with the XYZ monsters, and it gives you redo a spin as well, but it's good generically, even if you draw it. And then finally we're running the 1 Phantom Knights of Shade Brigandine, which is can be a level 4 monster that's also a trap, so it works well with your Time Thief XYZ monster. Okay then, so we're running the 1 Instant Fusion target. I'm running Karbonala Warrior in this, but I think really Mud Dragon's probably a good one to go for. It's reasonably cheap now and stuff. We're running 2 Time Thief Redoers. You might be able to cut this to 1, but I quite like having the second. So, this guy attaches the top card of your opponent's deck to himself during the standby phase, and then he can detach, and if it's a monster, he banishes himself until the next turn. If it's a spell, you get to draw a card, which can recruit some pluses, and then if it's a trap, you get to non-target spin, which is really good. And then the other one we're running is Time Thief Perpetua. So this one's a weird one, so you can detach, during the standby phase, you can detach a material from the card to special summon the Time Thief monster, which is great because it means that Winder can get additional pluses, which is really good. And then you can also target 1 other XYZ monster you control and attach a Time Thief card from your deck to it as a material, so that means that if you get both of these 2 out, Redo can be equipped with a spell, or normally the Retrograde to give it that spin, which kind of gives you some disruption. From there, we're running the 1 number 18 Heraldry Patriarch. So this guy's got a really weird effect where if your opponent controls multiple monsters of the same name, you can detach a card. They have to get rid of all but one of them. They can't special summon a card with that name. It's super specific, but the real reason we're running him is because when he's sent to the graveyard, you can dump 2 Heraldic Beast monsters from your deck to your grave, which turns on a lot of your spells and traps. And we've got ways now of getting it. He's never been easier to put into the graveyard, which is absolutely great. From there, the extra deck is a bunch of toolbox stuff. So we're running 1 Castel to, spin your opponent's stuff. We're running 1 Tornado Dragon for the spell and trap disruption. We're running 1 Abyss Dweller to lock down the opponent's graveyard. We're running 1 Number Giant Hand just as the kind of, effects disruption that you can put up turn 1. I don't know, I like Giant Hand, but I don't know, I think it doesn't see very much play. I can see why, but yeah, I think you could definitely cut that. And then 1 Gagagaga Gagagaga Magician. So this guy can special summon himself, can special summon a XYZ monster in your graveyard, and then a Utopic monster gains an additional effect, which doesn't come off too often, but you know, it's there if you need it. I think it gives him extra attack. Running one, number 60, Dugares the Timeless. So this guy's good for either the special summon effect, but normally I'm going for the draw effect just to try and dig for further extension. And then one Daigusto Emeral for the recycle, which can be quite useful because if you manage to get your ball rolling, you can burn through your heraldic cards quite quickly. And then running one F-Zero. So this guy's, you know, your non-targeting removal and stuff like that, and he's still quite good. I like a Utopic future. It's going to become better once we get the, you know, the link. The XYZ that can go on top of him, which gives you some effect negation on top of what you've already got. And then running one Gravity Controller. So this is kind of your easy way of getting Patriarchs to the graveyard to get your dump on. So you just got to make sure that you put your Patriarch in the, you know, the extra monster zone. And then finally the Infinitrack Fortress Megaclops, just to kind of round everything off as your big boss monster. So Heraldic Beasts have got, you know, a lot better with some viable Psychic rank 4s, and their synergy with the Time, you know, Thief engine is great. There is a huge gap in kind of like the power level between the spells and the monsters. We really just need a few more monsters that don't need normal summoning. You know, you just clog super bad when you get that. So in terms of relevance, it's a 2, which is sad, but not all deck can be made great. As for the fun factor, you know, when you get the deck off, it's very entertaining. You get a huge amount of pluses once you get, you know, your setup, and, you know, the Time Thief engine provides a bit of, I don't know, a variety and randomness in terms of what you're attaching for the top of your opponent's deck. So I'm going to go with a 3 for that. In terms of cost, the deck is a good budget option, really. I've estimated it at around $90 on TCG Player, which anything under $100 is, you know, not bad. Obviously, it's not going to win any, you know, YCSs or anything like that, but currently they're not going on anyway. So with that in mind, I think this is quite a good deck for a beginner. So that just about wraps up the deck profile. Thanks very much for watching, and check out the channel for some other profiles.